Hello there, men, and welcome to the Masculinism Movement channel, place for men to be men and to talk about masculinity and men's issues. I'm your host, Brian Krall, and today's video is on red pills. Specifically, some red pills that I got from the Red Pill documentary by Cassie Jaye, a former feminist who has put together a pretty good introductory documentary here for us, good enough that I want to report on it. Because during my watching of the film, I found that there were many big red pills that were important enough that I got out my notepad and started taking notes on them. And I thought to myself, wow, this is stuff I'm not going to be sharing on my channel in these words, and I really should. Now, these pills are bitter to swallow, but they're ones we all need to take. And to preserve these messages, what I'm saying here is going to be a mix. Some of it's going to be in my own words, but I'm going to be attempting to, not translate the messages in doing so. But I'm also going to be, providing a lot of quotes from the film, some of which may be paraphrased, others are going to be direct quotes, but I'm going to be keeping the messages the same. And if you like what you hear in this video, I would recommend watching the Red Pill film, especially if all of this MRA and MGTOW Red Pill knowledge is new to you. Otherwise, for people who have been an MRA or a MGTOW man for a long time, the film may be too introductory for you to justify spending 1.5 hours or 2 hours, however long it was, watching it. And it also is in part about Cassie Jaye and her journey in finding this information, which, if you've already been on one of these journeys, you really don't need to hear about someone else's if, again, you don't have the time. So for people who don't have the time, here are the highlights I felt were most important to share with you now. Men are status objects and women are sex objects, but the objectification of both is mostly done by women. That's interesting. I had actually, already knew that men are status objects and women are sex objects. And I had noticed that women do objectify themselves, but I had never thought about how the objectification of both is mostly done by women. Women are the ones who complain about being objectified, and women are the ones who talk about, objectification, and yet they miss the complete picture in that they never talk about how men are objectified by them. And yet men generally don't really objectify themselves. Men don't objectify women as much as they want us all to think we do, right? And we don't even objectify them as much as they objectify themselves. And of course, they objectify us more than anything. So that's really important to know and to point out anytime someone like a feminist is talking about the objectification of women. Be sure to correct them that men are objectified too, and all of the objectification is mostly done by females. Next, society treats men as disposable commodities. We are supposed to sacrifice ourselves for women, and men do just that with the kinds of jobs that they take, which are harder, more laborious, more physically demanding, and cause more health risks and problems than the jobs women generally take in society. And on top of that, men provide for women financially. We even pay taxes for programs for women that don't benefit us men at all, but actually the opposite, are biased against us, like the domestic violence programs and affirmative action programs. And being providers, men are handing over some of our power to women. Women are constantly complaining about, how men are more empowered than they are, or men have more power, the patriarchy is more powerful, or whatever it is, whatever lies they're saying, but they've always expected us to provide for them. And that is a huge way in which we are disempowering ourselves to empower them. And when a man constantly provides for a woman, he is creating a disbalance of the power between them. And when men have a relationship with a woman that he is committed to the financial support of, she is actually the one with power and dominance and control over him. So, these are cases against the patriarchy and for the matriarchy, showing that women are actually the ones wielding more power in these dynamics. Now, next, domestic violence is actually more of a problem for men than it is for women. This is something I am going to actually talk about, I think, more than once in this channel. But in this film, I had to quote this. One police officer is quoted as saying, If a woman starts hitting you, run away and get away from her as fast as you can, because she can hit you all that she wants and I won't arrest her for it. But if she even so much as breaks a nail hitting you, I'm going to arrest you and take you to jail. Let that sink in for a moment. I'll even repeat it quickly. If a woman starts hitting you, run away from her as fast as you can, because she can hit you all she wants and I won't arrest her for it. But if she even so much as breaks a nail hitting you, I'm going to arrest you and take you to jail. That is a direct quote from a police officer that, it was recorded unedited. This is an actual statement made on the record by a cop. So isn't that interesting? And the fact is about domestic violence is that women perpetrate more domestic violence that is not reciprocated by the man. They instigate the domestic violence situations more. And in situations where it is reciprocated, the man is always the one blamed and charged. So women are actually the ones who are more violent towards men. And all this talk about men being the problems with domestic violence is just a manipulation, right? It's not the case. Women are covering up the fact that they are the violent ones. Are you sure to take your daily dose of red pills consistently so that you can stay out of the matrix? The red pill is a medicine that only works if you take it in the right dosage and never miss a dose. One missed dose of red pills can mean turning back into a blue-pilled limp dick simp under the sharp heel of the evil feminist matriarchy. So make sure you are subscribed and that your subscription is set to all so that you never have to miss one of your daily doses of the red pill, because I'm releasing hot new red pill content every single fucking day just to make sure you don't have to. So make sure you will actually get notified when they are released, because you know that YouTube doesn't want to show you things that don't align with its liberal leftist feminazi agenda, and it shadow bans content creators like me who use free speech to speak out against these politics and stand up for the rights of the oppressed masses of men like you and me. And if you want to help me keep fighting the good fight, please donate using the PayPal link below so that I can keep this work alive, because I simply cannot do it without the support of viewers like you. And be sure to spread these messages and share these videos with any other men you know who could use a nice big dose of red pills. Next, men are actually sexually assaulted more than women are, but feminists don't care about it. They only care about the female side, because feminism is not about the equality of the sexes. And in many cases, the legal system doesn't care about the sexual assault of men either. It's, in the same category as what I just addressed with domestic violence. Now, next, any woman can trick a man that she has a sexual relationship with and get herself pregnant with his child. And even if she has friends who testify against her in court, stating that she admitted to them to doing it on purpose to entrap him. And even if she herself admits doing that, she will still get away with it. Again, we have accounts given on the record of this happening in the documentary, which is very valuable information for us to have. I knew that women could get away with it, but I didn't know that they could actually admit it in court and still get away with it. Have witnesses in court saying that they did it and still get away with it. That they get away with it no matter what. And not only that, she could still make him pay child support and give her a huge portion of his income. And in most cases, she could take the kid away from him if she wants to as well. So, this is the reality that we live in as men. And if you want to become a advocate or activist for men's rights, well, MRAs get a lot of pushback from feminism just for wanting to talk about the need for men's rights and to stand up against misandry. Something that I noticed when I wrote my article on misandry, exposing all the ways I've experienced it. If you haven't seen it, it's linked below. And I got all sorts of pushback from feminist women attacking me just for exposing how I have been the victim of all sorts of sexism and abuse from women. Calling me an incel and, any sorts of attacks that they could make on my person rather than addressing and debating the issues at hand. And when you have men's rights activists, speakers who are, speaking at universities or wherever, mobs of feminazis show up to protest their events and harass them. So you have to wonder to yourself, why are men's speakers protested by mobs of loud and even violent feminists? Like, why do they want to stop men from talking about their needs for the same basic human rights that women talk about needing? It can only be because men aren't seen by women as needing human rights, because they do not see us as humans, only commodities. And that's, again, a quote from the film, that women don't see us as humans. That is, just a huge sort of mic drop moment that I was like, wow. But I think that is accurate. I think that women don't think men deserve human rights because they don't see us with humanity. Now, the last note here is that the patriarchy is the result of gender roles that are inherent to our nature. It did not assign or invent them. And the patriarchy always provided for women. The matriarchy we live in today, however, does not do that for men. The matriarchy exploits men. So, which is really the sexist one? You tell me by commenting below. I don't want to tell you what my answer would be. But that all, again, is notes from the Red Pill documentary by Cassie Jaye. If you liked what you heard here, I recommend checking it out. And I would like to just say thank you to Cassie Jaye for doing this documentary in spite of her being a feminist and going against her political movement that I know probably then went against her. So thank you for that. Also, referenced in the film is a book that I would recommend checking it out, which has a lot of facts on these types of things, and that is The Myth of Male Power by Dr. Warren Farrell. And while I have not read that book, so I'm not vouching for all of its contents personally, there were statistics in the film from it, and I did check it out, and I'm actually planning on reading it. So that's about as far as my recommendation can go for that. And then another reference here is the National Coalition for Men. If you are interested in men's rights, this is the oldest, largest MRA organization. That's called the National Coalition for Men. You can Google it, and that website is basically a complete resource library for men. It has just about anything and everything that you need having to do with men's rights. So that's a huge and invaluable resource for you. Make sure to check that out. And one last thing I want to say in regards to this movie is that it also showcases a man called Paul Elam and his website, who's someone I don't recommend getting involved with. He's someone who I've met personally and know, and I can tell you that while he's done some work as an MRA, he's really not for men in general so much as he is for himself. And talking to him is kind of like talking to a feminist, actually. He told me, when I started this channel, that he was against my work based upon the title that I chose for it, and not liking the term ism. And that was without him knowing anything about the content. And, when I tried to talk to him about it, he acted like a feminist, honestly, like a male version of a feminist. It was a very disappointing conversation to be having with someone who's a senior in the MRA community. So I just wanted to put that little disclaimer out there before finishing up this video. But having said that, that concludes this video. Thanks for listening. I hope I mansplained that good enough for you. If you like what you heard, please click the like button. And if you feel you gained some value from this video and would like to give some back, please do so with the PayPal link below, because your support helps fund me doing this work and fight the good fight for men like you. If you are ready to take the red pill and wake up from the matrix and the matriarchy controlling it and learn everything you need to know about female on male sexism, get your copy of my newly released book called Misandry Exposed, on sale now for a special price that won't last long. So check it out by clicking the link below. And otherwise, take care of yourselves, men, because no woman out there is going to.